Hello, everybody. Josh here with Wired Wattsmart. So, as promised, I'm going to kick off this three-part series on money management, and the goal for this series, and in specifically who I'm talking to, are the blue collar guys, right? Like the guys who are uh, getting out there on the tools. They're learning a trade. They might have that entrepreneur bug to where they might want to jump out on their own someday. Um, I want to kind of talk about the money management piece of that. And, there's a lot that goes into that. I mean, you have to build credit, establish credit. There's a lot of ways to do that. But there's also money management that comes with that, So there's building credit, managing your money, and then, if you do get to that point where you start your business, it just gets, more complex as you wade through those things. But it all starts with a good foundation of managing your money and establishing credit. Um, I kind of have a list here in my notes app that I'm just going to kind of jump through, and I'm going to try to keep these at like 20 minutes. So, but to start off the show, I want to. I mean, this is good info for anybody who's wanting to build credit or buy a house or get into flipping or start a business. But I've said in the past, I really think the blue collar guys have an edge right now with just with everything that's going on in the economy, right? Like AI is taking over white collar jobs at a pretty good pace right now, man. And we're living in a time where that is truly happening. Like that's happening. People are losing their jobs because of AI. Now, do I think the blue collar guys are 100% safe from that? I mean, I think they're definitely a lot safer than the guy who's writing code at a data center. AI is going to affect the trades at some point in some ways or another. I'm already seeing it affect my business, like in the office. But as far as like boots on the ground, guys out there twisting wire nuts, guys out there painting houses, guys out there doing flooring, like it's not coming for our jobs like anytime soon. So the blue collar guys are in a good spot right now, man. Like I really feel for the next 10 years or so that these guys have an opportunity to really level up. And if you're that entrepreneur kind of guy and you've learned your trade and you've put some time in, you kind of have some massive opportunities coming up. That's what this show is about. That's what this series is about. It's about how to get to that point, right? So I want to lay out a roadmap that starts when a guy's 18 years old. You're going to start building credit, but you're also going to start learning a trade. And 18 might be a little young. Like I screwed off for a couple of years after high school before I dove in. But like if you're somebody that's hyper focused on getting out of high school, getting a career path, getting rolling, this is something that you can accomplish in, 7 years. I mean, that might even be a little long. But I want to lay a roadmap out for guys that you can start at 18 years old, you can start building credit. We're going to say that in this scenario, you're getting a trades job, right? You're going to start learning a trade. Um, and at the end of this 5 to 7 years, you're going to know a trade and you're going to have good credit, right? You're going to have a lot of the good things that you need to potentially flip a house and really make some money, or potentially start a business and have some of the tools, some of the financial tools to kind of help you through that. So I'm gonna jump right in. And like I said, I'm talking to those blue collar guys, the younger guys that are trying to figure out, how to fumble through these things, man. Um, and before I get going on this, I want to say like I've come up with this plan because this is how I executed it. I didn't pull this off the internet. I'm not spouting stuff out of my ass. Like this is how I did it. And this is how I got to where I am. had I had somebody kind of lay these things out for me when I was younger, I probably could have shaved 5 years off the path. So um, that's what I'm trying to do here is just get some tools for guys to kind of, help piece it together, right? Like entrepreneurship and owning a business is a very ugly, muddy thing. It's hard. It's showing up every day. It's stacking little wins together to get big wins. But at the end of the day, it's just being resilient and being stubborn and not quitting. But having these tools in your bag, like listening to these next couple episodes is it's good information, man. And if you like take it and you execute it, it'll definitely put you further ahead at a younger age, and ultimately it'll put you ahead of your competition. So the first thing I'm going to cover is building credit. And I'm not going to jump like super deep into this. Like if you want a real roadmap of it, just hop on chat or Grok or whatever and, type in what's the best way to build credit from a young age. It's going to kick out a lot of different things. The biggest thing is just using your credit responsibly and then actually building credit. And so I found the best way is to get some credit cards when you're younger or a credit card, use it and pay it off. Use it and pay it off. Even if it's just for gas and little stuff, that reoccurring payment and those reoccurring transactions, and you're paying them to zero, you're building credit, you're establishing credit. Now, the key is you pay it off every month, right? So you swipe it for gas, you swipe it for groceries. Let's say at the end of the month, it's $500. You pay it down to zero. If you don't pay it down to zero, you're paying interest on it. I've tried to have this conversation with some younger people, and they're like, "Oh, well, my dad told me, not to get credit cards because you get in trouble." And there is some truth to that. But if you're responsible and you pay the balance down to zero, you're not going to get charged interest, right? It's the same as using your debit card. So that's kind of your first step. You're 18 years old, you get a credit card, you use it, you start establishing credit, and you start establishing payment history. Now, this is important, and it seems rudimentary to some people, but it takes time to build credit, right? Like this is a long game, right? And we're trying to establish credit so we can buy a house, so we can buy a car. When you get to the point where you're going to buy a car, you might need a cosigner if you're younger. But if you have good credit, you can a lot of times get into these things on your own. Now, you also have to have a job. I mean, that's a big thing, and that should be a known. But building credit is the start. It's the start of the foundation of getting you to where you want to go. And I'm going to tie this stuff into bigger things, right? Like buying that house or opening some accounts with parts houses if you do start a trades business later. All of these things take credit, and so you pretty much you got to play the game, and having good credit is a big part of it. The next thing is using your credit responsibly. So I kind of already touched on that, but that's not racking up thousands of dollars of bullshit for like lifts on your truck or big tires, and then I'm just going to put it on my credit card and I'm going to make payments. Don't do that. Like that is where people get caught up, right? You're using it, you're paying it off. You're using it, you're paying it off. Being responsible with your money is hard when you're young, right? And you got to find that balance between saving some money and being responsible, but still being young and having fun. It is doable, but it takes some willpower, right? When I was 20 years old, I got in a little bit of trouble with some credit cards, man. Like I was building a car. It was a super sick car, man. It was a 92 Dodge Cell twin turbo. It was super sick, right? And I started building it. I rebuilt the motor, and like I had a credit card. I had a $5,000 limit, and I kind of went ham. I bought I bought a bunch of dumb shit that I didn't need, and it bit me in the ass, man. Like I ended up paying on that credit card for like 3 years before I actually got it paid off. Not a very good move, but when you're young, you make mistakes like that, right? So don't get caught up buying dumb shit. Like, use your credit card responsibly to build your credit. So some of the other things that I'm going to touch on is saving your money. One of the things that I do in my business and in my personal finances, 10% from every check that I get goes into a savings account, right? So 10% is not a lot of money when you think about it, man. Like, you get your check, you automatically put 10% into a different account that you don't touch, right? Like, that's your savings account. That's there for emergencies. That's there for, that's there for your down payment on your house. Like I said, this plan that I'm laying out is a 5 to 7 year plan. So if you start doing that when you're 18, by the time you're 24, 25, if you haven't messed with that money, you're going to have a down payment for a house. So all these things tie in together, like building the credit. You want to build the credit so you can get into a house loan. You want to save that 10% out of each check so you have a down payment for that house. Now, some people are lucky enough to have folks that'll help them with the down payment. Some people have been born into better situations than others, right? I didn't have that luxury. I came up with the down payment on my house by myself. I figured it out. It was ugly. It was stressful, but I figured it out. If you implement a handful of these things, you'll be in a situation to where it's not stressful. It's not ugly. You will have $40,000 to $50,000 sitting in account if you start doing this when you're 18 years old. And like I said, it might not be 18 for everybody. It might be 20 by the time you're ready to start implementing this plan. But the sooner you implement this plan, the further ahead you're going to be further on down the road, right? So some of the other key things that I'm going to touch on with the building the credit is make consistent on time payments. Like, that's the whole thing, man. Like, you got to be consistent with your credit, because if you're late on payments or you miss payments, then you get dinged. Your credit gets dinged and it affects your credit score. And like I said, I'm not a financial expert. I'm not going to go into like credit scores and how to get into different loans with credit scores. Like that's, like, I know enough about that, but I'm not going to advise on it. I'm trying to get, a specialist to come on in the last part of this series. I am working diligently on that. I feel good about it. But like I said, consistent on time payments. If you're somebody who like struggles with remembering that stuff, set up auto pay on this stuff, right? Like, you can set up auto pay to make the minimum balance. That way it's like, if you forget, at least there's something there. At least the minimum gets paid, right? And then you're good. You're not paying it down to zero, but at least there's a minimum payment there that protects you from your credit getting dinged. Another thing that I would highly advise people to do is use a credit tracking app like Credit Karma. I'm sure there's others out there. I'm not plugging that particular one, but these apps are in place to kind of monitor your credit, right? If you're late on payments, it's going to ding you. If agencies are reporting to, credit bureaus that your social security number has been, flagged for fraudulent stuff, or maybe there's been credit inquiries on your name and your social security number that you don't know about. Because fraud happens. That's a big thing. So if you have one of these apps in place, it's definitely going to help. It's going to be a good peace of mind, and it's just going to be a good tool to put in the toolbox, especially if you're a young person and maybe you forget stuff. I forget shit all the time. You're going to pay your bills on time every month, right? Like, so that's the same thing as making the credit card payments. There's several agencies that can report to credit bureaus about your payment history. Make your payments on time. That's a big thing. The better your credit score is, it makes it easier for you to get into better loans, right? So, for example, I'm going to keep this very simple. If you have a bad credit score, and you go to get finance for a car, you might be looking at a 12% interest rate, which is not great, right? Versus if you're the guy or gal that has a 750 credit score, you might be looking at a 7% interest rate. Now, I can't tell you exactly if those are the rates for today's current market. We're not getting into that. But what I want people to realize is that better credit scores equals better rates, and it ends up saving you money in the long run. This is a really big deal when you go to buy your house, right? Really big deal. And building this credit, establishing credit history, establishing payment history, like all of this stuff done over the course of the next 5 years is going to be what gets you into your first house, right? So payment history, you're saving 10%, you're building credit, you're doing this over the next 5 years, right? You're saving that 10%, that's going to be your down payment. So we're kind of bringing the plan together, right? Payment history, down payment, because you're saving 10% out of each check. The next thing in that 5 to 10 year, or in that 5 year plan, I'm sorry, is you're in the trade, right? Like you're coming up in the trade, you're making more money every year. You're learning that trade. If you're that entrepreneurial guy, like, after 5 to 7 years in, like you might start thinking about leveling up and going out on your own, right? When you decide to do that, that takes money, right? That takes money. But if you bought a house, maybe you bought a fixer upper, you're living in it, you flip it, you make 100 grand, there's a chunk of money to start your business, right? So I'm going to tie all these things together, right? There's some different ways that I've figured out how to kind of navigate through this system. And it's not hard things, guys. It's just stuff that takes time, right? And it takes a matter of you putting a plan in place, sitting down, writing it down. Hey, here's my goals. Here's what I'm going to do. And if you can implement this plan that I'm giving you in the next 3 episodes, you're going to be able to level up. You're going to be able to do real good. So I'm gonna cut this first episode right here. This is the first episode of a 3-part on money management. To recap, we're talking to the blue collar guys, the guys who are in the trades. I mean, really anybody who's interested in buying a house or building that credit. But I'm really talking to the younger blue collar guys who are ready to just take it to the next level, man. Let's put a plan in place. Let's get there. Let's make some moves. This is Josh with Wired Wattsmart.